Before I go and develop this example program involving two-dimensional array, I'd like to show you how this program works. The program is now in running mode. It's asking for the number of salesperson, and then it will ask for the number of items that these salespersons go and sell in the market. So there are 3 salespersons and 2 items. Now it is asking for the sale data for each item against each salesperson. That means it will ask for the sale data of item number 1 for salesperson 1, and then item number 2 for salesperson 1, and so on. Ultimately, it's going to print a report showing the details of sale data along with the total amount of sale against each salesperson. So I'm just inputting the data. It's 2.5. So there will be 6 records since there are 3 salesperson, 2 items. So altogether I need to input 3 multiplied with 2, that is 6 records. Here's the last one, and as soon as I press enter, it's going to print the sale report. You can see that. So it's the detail of the sale done by salesperson 1. Salesperson 1 actually sold item number 1 for $2.5, item number 2 for $5.2, and the total is 7.7. So as it is for the salesperson 2 and salesperson 3. We can go ahead and print the commission as well after the total if we wish so. Here, say if the commission of salesperson is 10% of the sale amount, total amount, then we can just print the commission as well here after the total for each salesperson. That's also possible. So this is the program that we are supposed to develop. Let's start. So in order to develop the program, first of all, we need to declare 2 variables. One to hold the number of salesperson and other to hold the number of items. So R is for holding the number of salesperson and C is for holding the number of items. Okay, the next thing is to input the values for R and C. So this is the code that is going to input the values for R and C in R and C variables. Okay, and then we have this printf statement printing 3 new lines. Now next we need to declare the array, the two-dimensional array, with R as row number and C as column number. So R as row number and C as column number. So each row is corresponding to salesperson and each column is corresponding to an item. So a particular row, so a particular cell, say ith row and jth column, is going to hold the sale data for ith salesperson and jth item. So now we need to input data. That means input sale data into the array. Okay. Here you can see that the nested for loop is responsible for taking the sale data from the console into the ith row and jth column. Here the outer for loop is for row and the inner for loop is for column. So for a particular row we are iterating through the column and taking the sale data for ith salesperson and jth item. So here the prompt is printed. So this prompt is going to print the salesperson number and the item number. Since the array index starts from 0, but it's inconvenient to have it in the real life, so I'm just adding 1 here to make sure that the salesperson number starts from 1 and also the item number starts from 1. So it's going to, this nested for loop is going to take the sale data into the ith row and jth column of the sale data array. So now what we need to do is to print the report in pretty format. For that, again, we need to run the nested for loop and we need to iterate through each cell of the two-dimensional array. And here is the display report section. This section is printing the report. You can see that these 3 statements are just printing the headings for the report. And then we have taken this variable total, which is going to accumulate the total sale amount for a particular salesperson. And this is the outer for loop that is going to iterate through the row. For each row, I equals to 0, that means you are on the first row and you are entering to this for loop and you are printing the sale data for salesperson number. That means it's the heading for each row. When you are printing the report, you are first printing the salesperson number, then this line comes at here, this printf is printing the line, and then we are initializing the total to 0 because summing up the total for each row requires the total to be initialized to 0 prior iterating through each row. Otherwise, the garbage value would be there, or the sum of the previous salesperson will be there in the total value. So we are iterating through the columns here for each row. Say for I equals to 0, that means you are in row number 0. Then you are iterating through the columns for the first row. And what we are doing here, we are printing the content of the cell. That's the cell amount for this particular row and column. So we are printing the item number here. At this %d we are printing the item number, and this %0.2 LF we are printing the cell data. 0.2 is going to round off the value 2 digit after the decimal point. So here we are accumulating the cell amount with the total, because at the end, that means at the end of this row, we need to print the total amount as well. So when we are coming out of this for loop, that means after printing the cell data for a particular salesperson, we are printing the total amount. And then 2 new lines just to separate the data from the next salesperson. Now if I go on executing this, here we go. I'm giving 4 salesperson, 2 items, so 2.5 for item number 1, 4.5 for item number 2, and 2.25 for second salesperson item number 1, 5.5, 6.75. And here is the report that we have. Okay, you can see that the report is printed and the total amount is actually calculated and printed here. Now we can print the salesperson's commission as well if we need to print. Say the commission for the for each salesperson is 10% on the total amount, so you can just go on and printing the commission as well here. \t is a tab character. You can see that it's the effect of \t. It will move the string which you are supposed to print 4 characters right hand side. That's the effect of pressing the tab key in your keyboard. So the commission is to be calculated. So I'm taking a variable, say commission, that has to be double. Com will be fine. And I'm calculating the commission here. So 10% is the commission, so we need to multiply the total amount with 0.1. So that will give us the 10% of the commission. So commission equals to $0.2 LF \n commission. That's going to print the commission as well. I'm running the program once more to show you that it's really printing the commission. So I'm having 3 salesperson, 2 items, 1.75, 5. Here we go. Now it is printing the commission as well. You can see that it's the total amount and the 10% is the commission. So here is 0.62. And here is the total amount for the salesperson 2, 14.6, and here is the commission 1.46. So it's done.